Hi, everybody. I'm Mark Fordory, and I'm happy to welcome you here for another of our virtual poetry readings in our series called Poetry for the Unprecedented. Our reader tonight is currently a senior at the University of Nebraska-Kearney. He's the recipient of the Wagner Family Writing Endowment, and his work has been published in the White Wall Review, Runestone, the Hole in the Head Review, and many other poetry journals. His name is Tyler Michael Jacobs.
Hello, I'm Tyler Jacobs. I'd like to thank the Prairie Art Brothers for putting together this series. A Portrait of My Mother. 1. We discovered who we were by writing our names between the lines. Every night, under the covers with a flashlight, I practiced until there were no more lines to write between. Holding it, arms stretched out, I looked at who I was, and it was perfect. 2. I presented her my name and watched her trace every indentation of my hard work. She stuck them to the door of the refrigerator, which told me she understood. 3. When we had to bring a photo of ourselves and paint a self-portrait, I tucked it inside Alice in Wonderland to keep the corners from bending. My mom said to be careful with it, as if it wasn't plucked from a pile of me. You have to be careful with the memories you have, she said. Carrying a photo of yourself is like carrying an image of God. 4. Mrs. Goldfish explained that running paint lines do not suggest flaws within ourselves. But how do I get the hair just right, I asked. Maybe you don't. 5. I would one day paint a portrait of my mother standing in the kitchen as she complained of numb fingertips. Is it all done yet, she asked. I stood brushing her invisible locks and let the paint lines run so she would know. After Don Welch. You walk through the sound of tall grass licking at your legs to where and what you trace under your feet. A memory or the fluttering of time held deep in your front shirt pocket to write of familiar places and those lost in history. The river you love drank itself to a chapped bed today, an hourglass counting down. You do not believe the fish would want this. They rest their fading heads on pillows of sand and feel their bodies burn to the earth. The fish keep one eye toward the sky, forever watching for rain. Mise en place. We are alone together. A breeze intrudes on this moment from the window in my kitchen. We welcome this. You peel off layers of me while you run everything under hot water first, cleansing them of rotten freshness and what is left behind by our hands. You part everything into a separate dish and set aside for later use. Perhaps this will heal our insides. We place the makings and mix them together. We wait. A cloud of steam divides us. I keep the question to my lips, close to me, for now. You begin to shed articles of clothing to fight the heat of this room. To determine if it is done, we look for the shine that wasn't there before all of this. We look at what we made together and both saw something different. You woke me early in the morning when you got up to pee. I knew you weren't trying to, but we were still spinning and so stoned that we fell into each other. I mistake what is between us, the question leaking from my lips. After you leave, your smell stains my sheets. I hesitate to move out from bed now, knowing that I must wash you from myself. Duplex. I rise and take 5 pills by mouth daily. This I understand. My blood is no good. I check again. The blood in me is not good, like car oil after 3,000 miles. Unlike car oil driven on for miles, my sap will remain my own poison. Sap sometimes becomes its own poison and leaves pieces of its bone in the hollow. I'll leave my bones hoping they won't hollow. The rain weathers everything that we build. Whether right or not, we destroy all we build to document what the wind tells us is gone, saved in documents that tell me I am gone. I rise and take 5 pills by mouth daily. Threading carpet. More than 1,000,000 tiny threads braided together. You want to become of the other and the other. This goes on until our hands bleed. The wind weaves in through the open window that I love, extending itself as I set down a glass of beer. The aroma of vinegar and sick begins to fill the room, overtaking lavender and cut grass. Sometimes it looked like spilt milk. You cut the tails of the thread to remove the frays, like you snip the ends of flower stems at an angle, so the water would drink the jasmine with rose notes, offering a blush of warmth, and I miss that. The thread becomes an image of the thing that it is not, darting through one another, a rose or a stalled watch, perhaps. I was the embellishment of fringe. You were the square indentation of years. I remember the quiver of a breast under sheets, and I loved that. I could feel it. You unfold yourself to me as the red and white clouds offer themselves to slats of falling light. Everything is tangled and glowing, and you weave one last loop into the glass, drift over the knot. The thread becomes the thrill of heat. Beside me, a distant whisper as I plummet further into the rug. Jars of fresh air. You were spinning the knob of a phonograph turntable. The air was cutting my lips. I crouched down and felt the electric veins exposed along the carpet. How they have remained, they're pulsing, simple. Everything in time becomes a light. When I search the house for you now, your bedroom hints at a man I never took the time to know. I regret this. Jars labeled and put delicately away on a shelf. I thought you might have expected this as you approached the window to stand in mood-scarred night, collecting fresh air for when we'll need it most. I then stood alone, my hands full of cracked jars. I searched for a socket to plug your heart back in and waited. Then luminous. Maple. It was not the exposed roots that bothered me, but what I could not bring myself to say, and what I could not fashion for you, a space in me. In understanding of all moments, I lifted you toward the sky. We fed squirrels corn and peanuts. My arms shine with aches, but I lack iron. I've always held you close. I watched where your steps left me. The space will always remain as if it were a punctuated clause that decorates a dullness. That is both equal and unequal to the collapse of clouds. A memory that all memory fits. I heave. It feels as if I have been falling my entire life. June 21, poem for Carney. This is after Matt Mason's September 21 poem for Omaha. There's just enough quiet in the dark streets to hear the rumble of bicycle rubber on pavement. Steam impersonates a ballet dancer in the spotlight of dim street lamps that pass through intersections. The small-town streets I ride smell of hidden imperfections, like family secrets gossiped about before silent dinners. And for a moment, the quiet subsides as I pass spent condoms, littered bottles, of howls of neglected youth lost to this city as I sweep under spotlights on 25th Street. The stage void of encores, and the ballerina doesn't take her final bow before the applause of rain draws her from the night. The clicking of my bicycle is again the only sound in the darkness of 3 a.m., and I look at my city that, with the wind in my hair, I'm learning to love. Thank you.